Backed by popular demand and ready for your next game night, Rumski. A fresh new design with the same exciting gameplay, Rumski is a Rummy-style strategy card game for 2 to 6 players. By laying runs and sets and playing off the community, players will race to be the first to lay down all their cards and win the round. This may feel like your standard Rummy card game at first, but once players start moving things around in the community, everything changes. Let's take a closer look. The dealer will start by shuffling the cards and dealing to each player clockwise. In a 2-player game, each player gets 12 cards. In the 3 to 6 player game, each player gets 10 cards. The dealer will then lay the remaining cards to create the stock and flip over the top card to start the discard pile. Organize the cards in your hand in a way that makes sense to you. The goal is to play runs and sets of a minimum of 3 cards of the same number or in sequence of the same color. Wild cards can be any color or number you choose. The player to the left of the dealer starts by drawing a card from the stock or the discard pile. They can then lay any runs or sets in their hand to the community. At the end of their turn, they may discard if they choose, as long as it matches the color or number at the top of the discard pile. Play then continues on clockwise as players draw and try to play cards from their hand to the community. When it is your turn, you can choose to either draw 1 card from the stock, the top card from the discard pile, or all the cards from the discard pile. You can then play any runs or sets from your hand to the community. If a player does take all the cards from the discard pile, this is the only time they must discard a card from their hand to start the discard pile again at the end of their turn. Players signify the end of their turn by discarding or knocking to the next player. Once a player has laid cards into the community, they are able to play off of other players' cards as well by adding or replacing cards to existing runs and sets. Once a card is laid to the community, however, it must remain on the table and cannot enter a player's hand or be discarded. If a player replaces a wild card, it must be used immediately in the player's turn. A player may only use 1 wild in any given run or set. This is where things start to get interesting. As long as legal runs and sets of at least 3 cards remain in the community, on their turn, players can move cards throughout the community to make their play. By adding cards to runs and sets, or making new ones, once you've played all the cards in your hand, you win. And that's Rumski. Visit playcardboardgames.com for a digital version of the rules, and to learn about future games.